Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the XLNC Mid League. Tonight, we've got a great match for you guys between AOE T1 and Omega Gaming Unleashed. My name is Gordo, and I am joining you guys tonight for a little bit of a tricast. We've got Rudude here, and we also have Kiko. Kiko, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, and we got Rudude here as well. Rudude, how is it going tonight for you as well?
Yeah, going pretty well. We've got the XLNC mid-league action for you guys tonight. AOE Team One here on the blue side for game number 1, and Omega Gaming Unleashed here for the red side. Going to be a best of 2 tonight, and then the second best of 2 going to be streamed over on the XLNC channel. So if you guys don't want to miss out on any of the action, please feel free to stay here for the time being, and then once this game is finished, head on over to that channel. But I'm super excited to not only get this game underway, but to have a nice little bit of TriCast action going on right here. Kiko delightfully joining us for this best of 2, and it's going to be a great night regardless.
Yeah, and we are getting right into these picks and bans right away. We've already gotten the bans coming in from both sides. AoE banning away the Seraphine, which Omega Gaming has put a ton of priority on over the last couple of weeks. So they're going to be defaulting down to this blue side pick one Kaisa, and it's going to be matched with a Senna and Galio over on the side of Omega.
Getting the Seraphine taken away from Unleashed is something that I expect to continue at least throughout the rest of the season until Seraphine either receives some nerfs or teams maybe try and give Unleashed a game and then they realize that the Seraphine is too strong and then they don't get it back again for the rest of the season. But I'm definitely going to be interested to see how this Senna works out because I know that Unleashed have been doing a lot of experimenting with fasting Senna, with non-fasting Senna and farming and all that good stuff down in the bot lane to really see how their composition is going to play out, how they're going to be looking to utilize the Senna Souls to get probably adjustment to his most powerful position on this Senna, and with the Galio in tow, could be a mid laner, could be a support, and they could definitely pick themselves up a nice and powerful bot lane here already.
Yeah, and that is going to be AoE locking in the Lilia here for the jungle, and that is definitely going to be an exciting pick on this patch. For those who aren't aware, patch 11.3 has hit today, and with that comes a set of Gore Drinker nerfs, so we're going to see maybe a little bit less Olaf, a little bit less Renekton, but notably no real Moonstone Renewer nerfs, although the staff part of the Moonstaff combo been nerfed a tiny bit, but the Moonstone itself still ready and raring as ever, so certainly we're going to be seeing that on the Lilia for the side of AoE today.
And whilst we've got a little bit of time here, Kiko, why don't we get to know you a little bit here in your League of Legends background? If you're picking a role, you're queuing up for your ranked or your normal games, what role are you playing, and who are you taking there?
All right, so it depends on when you asked me. So right here, right now,
Yep.
without a doubt, definitely I'm either going to queue up for mid or support. More often than not, I'm going to go for support, and more often than not, I am going to go for my boy, the one, the man, the myth, the legend, Bard, because
Okay.
I'm the Bard way.
So you must be pretty excited to see these support matchups going in right here. We've got probably that Thresh up against the Galio, and what are the makings that you'd need for a Bard to be picked? Do you think what are the dream circumstances that you found that you've spotted out where you'd think this is a Bard game?
Oh, okay. First things first. Bard has to not be banned. That's definitely that's definitely thing number one right there. Thing number two is it definitely depends on what elo you're in and how you play Bard. Because there's two types of play styles that I know and love on Bard, and that is Guardian Bard, which everybody knows, and Electrocute Bard, which is something a little bit off meta, but a little bit more of a playmaker style Bard.
You mean Chad
Uh,
Bard is what you mean to say?
yeah, man. So, so without a doubt, Guardian Bard is very good into something like a Thresh or a Blitzcrank or a Pike. Something with a lot of playmaking ability. Uh, but at the same, but also at the same time, it also depends on what what your AD chooses. So if your AD is choosing something like a Lucian or something with a lot of early game smash mouth damage, you're definitely want to going with that electrocute bard. But if you're going with something a little more passive, like a Senna or a Karma or something like that nature, you definitely want to go guardian. Uh,
For
but yeah,
sure, for sure. I mean,
that's
so beautiful stuff.
definitely what I would say about my boy.
Well, unfortunately, Kiko, the bard got banned, so AoE were not
Yeah,
allowed
yeah.
to take that one. And we did finish off the draft right here. We're going to leave it on screen just a little bit longer and then move over into the in-client draft as those picks get locked on in pretty soon. Gordo, they've taken a few more picks down for the final two picks right here. What are we making of the rest of at least Unleashed draft here?
Yeah, I'm ready for the rise of the enchanters that's going to come with 11.3, as I think many others on Twitter have already professed to being. And so I'm looking hard at this karma here. Not 100% certain whether it's going to be going mid or support yet, but regardless, it is going to be going for that Moonstone Renewer. Now, as I talked about earlier, the nerfs to the Staff of Flowing Water certainly affect a little bit. It's a little bit of AP off the top, but that really was kind of just gravy on top of the moon staff by the end of there. There are several people who were foregoing the staff part of the moon staff build to go into ardent sensor second, and that build is completely untouched. So with that on top of the gore drinker nerfs, I'm thinking that moonstone renewer and into either ardent sensor or staff of flowing water, or even the changed up hextech putrefier to give up some more grievous wounds to your teammates, are all going to be super viable options.
A lot at least of karma going to be expected at least, or in the bot lane, in the mid lane, wherever it may go. And it looks as though with the client underweight right here, Princeton has locked that one in for himself in the mid lane. And I, for one, enjoy seeing Princeton much more on things that are typically more within his wheelhouse. We've seen him play time and time again, Yone, Irelia, Yasuo, all of those good things. But this time, we can see from the draft that Unleashed have gone for, they've pivoted more toward a jungle ADC carry composition right here. We've got Senna and the Kindred picked up for Fallen Artemis, a bit of a staple pick for him. So it's going to be interesting to see how Unleashed play around what is really a two-threat composition here, because they might be struggling for a little bit of damage as we go through the early and mid game here. Of course, Senna in the late game does ramp up, and Kindred too going to be an absolute monster as we get a couple of items picked up. But trying to fight their way through the early game, and with only a couple of carries here, they might struggle to match up against what is a very lethal AoE squad.
Yeah, another possibility that might be sliding under a few people's radars here is that this could be the fasting Senna that we
Mm.
haven't seen in quite a while. We saw Sven was busting it out on patch 11.2 last weekend, and now it's even better. It drops souls more often, and it certainly presents a new level of threat. And along with something like Galio, which can benefit from being able to farm up and go into some more expensive items, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it out of adjustment today.
No, and I think that down in the bot lane as well, Galio has seen a lot of priority coming through in terms of the way that he can defend his team. You can see from Unleashed, they've got so much disengage, so much potential to kite back from Kindred, Karma shields to Galio ulti as well. The way that they're going to go back and make sure that they can't get engaged on too easily, definitely going to be a great asset and a great tool that Unleashed have right here. And I'll be interested to see what the sub opts into for his mythic of choice right here. Seeing Galio's recently opt in toward that Shirelius a little bit more, and I wouldn't mind seeing it right here because getting that extra movement speed only aids Galio in his attempts at engaging.
Yeah, classic Omega comp here. You just cannot kill these guys based on the drafts that they go
Mm.
for. They love the Kindred, the classic staple for Fallen Artemis, but they've busted out the Senna, Seraphine bot lanes, both going Moonstaff builds back in week one. They go towards the sub on Galio and on Alistair pretty often here. They got the Karma. They love Shen, other sorts of champions that just block other team comps from coming into them, that stop them from getting the big engages and the big burst out damages that they want, and instead focus more around their own survivability, being able to kite back, being able to absorb that engage, and then being able to turn it around and win the fight for themselves.
Exactly. And with that being said and done, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to hop into a short break whilst the spectator delay does catch up. But then when we return, we're going to have game number one right here. The three TriCast amigos going to be bringing you Omega Gaming Unleashed versus AOE Team Number One.
Welcome back, everybody. We are loaded right on up here into Game 1 for the XLNC Mid-League between AOE Team One and Omega Gaming Unleashed. I am coming with you to the same tri-cast that we had in Champion Select. It is myself, Gordo, Rudude, and Kiko. And Kiko, we have got just a pretty standard spread at level 1 here.
Yeah, I'm, yeah, it looks like everything's pretty okay. A little bit of poke mid lane. But yeah, minus that, everything's a lot more chill than I thought it'd be. I was expecting, especially with a Thresh and a Gnar, maybe a little bit of that bottom side invade, but nah, they just want to chill.
Yeah, just gonna be sitting back a little bit here. Maybe just a few too many tools over on the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed for things like that. But it is going to be that Karma mid lane that we talked about earlier. So bringing a lot of level 1 power, having access to the Mantra Q right away. And so that's just going to lead everybody to just kind of chill out and survey the situation first. Does look like it's going to be a red side start for both of these junglers. So potentially going to be avoiding each other early on here.
That is very true. Now I will say that I could English when both Kindred and Lilia both hit level 3. That's going to be when a lot of the action is going to be interesting because Kindred can start to do a fair bit of damage at level 3, but Lilia can also just say no and walk away. So.
And I think as well, right here, that what we're going to be looking at is probably one of those full clear areas, right? With obviously level 3s being pretty strong on these guys, but Kindred, Lilia, they both just become different creatures when they hit level 6, right? Like the power spikes that they hit and just the way that the meta is going at the minute, the amount of priority that you do get from farming and from being ahead of the curve on those camps. Both of these junglers going to be wanting to work towards their items and work towards their levels much more than try and find early ganks, because if, you know, looking across the lanes, gank setup from the majority of the lanes outside of bot lane, not really too great, right? There's obviously Galio and Thresh down on the bot side for some setup, but I know at least in the Kindred's sake, he wants to at least win the coin toss on his first mark.
Yeah.
And it is going to be that fasting Senna that we talked about in the bot lane. See, going for that gold generation item in the Spectral Sickle and just letting the sub take a decent amount of this CS here on his Doran's Ring. That's going to give adjustment access to so many souls and is just going to give him those range buffs and those damage buffs so much earlier than he'd get them otherwise.
And as well, it is worth noting with the Spectral Sickle on Senna, he's going to be taking 2 minions per wave. I think that's how they typically play this fasting Senna. You don't receive the gold tax, the gold penalty, if you take just 2 minions every wave. So expect that to be adjustments farming route, and you can see that, you know, they're sort of splitting it in that 33-66 sort of formation already.
And that's going in for an engage.
Burning the flash, burning the heal right there. AoE feeling the burn a little bit early on right there. So, good trade for Omega. They get themselves a nice little Summoner Spell advantage by burning the flash out of Fright Knight there.
And along the lines of that, one thing that we haven't really talked too much about is earlier on in the lane. Early on in the lane, Thresh was taking all kinds of poke from Senna and Galio, and that's pretty typical. But you can't, as Thresh, you can't be eating all that poke like that. This ain't a buffet, Thresh. You can't be eating stuff like that. Otherwise, that happens right there where your AD has to blow heal to save you.
Yeah, the sub and adjustment have just been so dominant over the last couple of weeks in their bot lane performances. You can see that they already have eked out a decent CS lead for themselves given that the Galio and Senna are sharing CS, whereas Fright Knight is just taking those couple of last hits for his sharing item. It's a pretty substantial lead, about a wave worth of minions that they've built up for themselves down there in that bot lane. And meanwhile, Princeton just continuing to shove right on up into Cyclone here. He does not have the upgrade on his laser yet, and so he cannot clear these minions faster than Karma can.
Now, be interested to keep our eye on the way that this mid lane matchup does develop, right? Victor is definitely going to be trying to outscale the Karma in terms of the damage output, but the utility that Karma's going to provide to the team, just in terms of the raw healing, the raw shielding that she will give as well, definitely going to outweigh what the Victor can do.
And
That's
that's
a great point there. Oh,
And
go
that's
ahead.
going to be pretty interesting when it comes down to these early jungle fights, because Karma Kindred, I feel, is going to be a lot more dominant in terms of their fighting power than a Lilia Victor will, especially when you take into consideration that Karma's winning the poke battle, that both Kindred and Lilia are, again, very different creatures when they hit that level 6. Uh, but I would say that in a straight up 2v2, Kindred and Karma, without a doubt, got this.
Yeah, and something we're super used to talking about on stream with the amount of Kindred that Fallen Artemis plays is the early game Scuttle Crab flips, and they have gone well in Fallen Artemis's favor this game. Easy to miss if you aren't paying attention, but he's already got 2 marks of the Kindred there picked up, so half his way to that all-important range upgrade. An excellent start for him on this Kindred, even though the CS appears to be very close.
And up on that top lane, we have got this Gnar, who we're expecting to be winning out on these trades early on, fighting up against Simalcrum on the Ornn right here, playing a more team-oriented role, and we've seen Simalcrum fall into this style time and time again, right? Weak side top is pretty much new Omega Gaming Unleashed, pretty much pivoting away from what they were doing in previous seasons and putting Simalcrum on this big tank in the top lane. Really nothing that we're not expecting here. You can see now that the Unleashed benefits are going to be that they net themselves what looks like this first dragon coming on through. The Infernal Drake started up, fallen, an adjustment, going to start that one up with the sub, looking to be the one tanking it for them, and looking like it's going to go away pretty much uncontested.
Yeah, great setup here from Omega. They got Blue Shift back in the base, so he's not going to be here to contest it all. They've got all the vision down that they need. They have the teleport coming through from Princeton into the mid lane, and there was just never any opportunity for AoE to really contest that. And so now they're just going to take their free dragon, and they're going to immediately go back to the mid lane, and Princeton's going to have an excellent trade with Cyclone there right off of his recall, and probably going to force him to use the teleport as well.
Oh yeah, casually half healthing your mid is pretty good, especially when you consider that all you have is a forbidden idol. That hurts. That really does hurt.
I'm just going to be a little bit more aggression coming through in the bot lane. Quick little souls check on adjustment just to talk about how those buffs have come through. At 8 minutes here, she's sitting on 27 souls, so much bigger than you used to be able to see on these sorts of Senna builds, and is going to keep on going higher and higher. Really, once she gets around that 60 soul point is really where it starts to just be like a substantially longer range champion than most, and you really start to feel the impact of all those boosts. Gonna be a fight in the mid lane here, maybe.
Oh, this is gonna be close.
Princeton?
All right, and Princeton just wait out the chaos storm there, just tank right on through it, and he's going to be just fine.
And now they're going to try and contest this Herald here.
Gonna be Simalcrum coming through with the ult. You're gonna be getting a huge knock up here on the Blue Shift and end up going to be picking up the first blood for himself there, but now a huge flash hook comes through from Fright Knight. He's gonna be looking to try to pick this up, but is going to just get the Lambs for Spike coming through to keep him alive, and now there's a re-engage on a Fright Knight, and they're gonna pick him up as well. Now a potential opportunity to move here onto Damien. He's gonna flash away, but he's gonna be met with a flash of his own, and Fallen Artemis is gonna take him out.
Cyclone
And
as well.
that was exactly what I was talking about with that Kindred ult. One of the Lilia ult basically says, "Hey, let's just not have the enemy move." Kindred ult, ooh, that was spicy.
Princeton.
Ooh,
He don't take nothing right there. Just dashes, like, flashes straight on in, and you know, it makes Cyclone regret the fact that he tried to stay underneath that turret. But go ahead, Kiko. Here, you were talking about the Kindred in the early game, right? With that fight.
Yeah. So Lilia's ult basically says, "Hey, let's just not have the enemy move because sleep." And Kindred says, "Let's just stay in a particular area and let's live." So I anticipate early on it's going to be in the Kindred's favor, especially because I've seen what my boy Fallen can do, and he's a pretty insane jungler. And also, let's also take into consideration that Princeton is starting to have a pretty big lead here in the mid lane with 2 kills and a 10 plus CS lead. That's going to really sting for Lilia. That plus the fact that your top laner and your mid are behind is going to be really bad, because all you can really do at this point is try to play towards that bot side. Because if you don't, it's going to be a very, very long night for AOE.
Yeah, and now going to be Blue Shift, potentially coming in for a little invade here. Going to actually steal away that blue buff, it looks like, from Fallen Artemis. So getting a little bit back for himself there. But Omega Gaming have really asserted themselves on this game after that huge fight win. They've already got Fallen Artemis up to 4 marks of the Kindred. So he's already at this massive power spike way earlier than he expected to be. And along with that, they get a double kill onto their Karma mid lane, who's now already completed the Moonstone Renewer. I've been complaining about how overpowered that item is the whole night so far already. And we're going to start seeing just how bad it can be pretty soon.
And with all of that gold that they funneled into Fallen as well, they're going to be so ready to try and just take some fights. You can see Fallen is sitting ready in this bot brush, and there's no ward in there from AoE, and they could definitely overextend a little bit here. You can see that Riley and Fright Knight are going to take the time, clear out the wards in the tri-brush, but they're just stepping forward here, and they're going to have absolutely no idea.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
that's just going to be a flash in
no.
from the sub.
Oh, Riley, you can't be doing that. Oh, that was fire right there. Oh man, that was just classic Fallen play right there. Nothing more, nothing less. And no way.
Yeah,
Okay.
great engage from Svalcon. You're looking to potentially solo kill here on to Damien, but potentially not going to quite finish it up. But now there's a gank in the mid lane. Princeton's getting engaged on here, but he's going to be able to survive off of that Mantra W. Just going to be healing up just enough off of the first tick to be able to run himself out of there. And AoE do not want to commit further to the dive, so they're just going to be forced to let him go.
Svalcon can dive this here. Yep.
Actual dive here, and Svalcom's just gonna pick up the solo kill on the Nard, just like it ain't no thing. He just walks on through, hits the Q, hits the W, and is able to finish him off. Just Damien getting hit with a bit too much Ornn material there, and is gonna end up falling down at the end of the day.
Yeah, a little. Big man's a little too much for Nard right now. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this is looking pretty rough for AoE. Really the only way I see them getting back into this is getting the Victor to farm up, and then again is going to be a lot easier said than done, because you're going up against this 2-0 Kindred, you're going up against this 2-0 Karma, who has a sizable CS lead over you. So even just letting Victor power farm, that's going to be easier said than done if you're on the side of AoE.
And now just going to be a little bit of a lane swap coming in here from the side of Omega. They're going to move Adjustment and the sub up into the top lane, and they're going to move Samaucrum down to the bot lane, as they've already been able to take up that bot lane turret, and they want to extend this lead across the map. So they're just going to start moving these guys up here. They're going to trust that Samaucrum's going to be able to safely farm it out against the possible duo lane, but looks like he might actually meet Cyclone there, as AoE is going to move their bot lane up towards the mid lane.
Bit of a jig around of the map right here from pretty much everybody. We're still just broaching that 14-minute mark now, so the plates have just fallen, and a lot of teams, or both of the teams rather, trying to secure themselves a couple of plates on their ADCs a little bit more than they would have been able to previously. You can see Unleashed doing some nice vision work inside the top jungle. Notice that there's another mark of the Kindred on the enemy wolves right here, and Fallen potentially wanting to go for that. It's potentially why we see that vision clearing coming through. Cyclone going to take a bit of a rough trade down there, but it's going to be Blue Shift, the one in real danger.
He's going to be forced to flash away here, but once again, Fallen Artemis has access to his own flash, is able to follow it up there, and is able to end up picking up the execute for himself.
Gale Force as well, making that fight so much easier for him to get in range and really make that kill come through pretty darn quickly. Didn't really look close at all there for Blue Shift. Getting taken down, pretty much the Mountain Dread was all that was needed off of the initial couple of auto attacks. With Press the attack as well, so many autos. But here comes the Ornn Horn.
Yeah, once again, Malcolm going to be going aggressively against his lane opponent. They're going to end up stunned up by the gravity field, but he just flashes on forward, and he's going to take the fight right to Cyclone. Doesn't quite have any more damage left in the tank, though. Going to end up backing away, but he comes up favorable at the end of the day.
Here comes Riley as
Wait a
well.
minute.
Thresh is there too.
Looks like they're going to be trying to set up a dive here. Riley's going to flash
no,
forward,
no,
but Malcolm
no,
just messing
no
with
way.
their heads. He's dodging
No
back and
way.
forth. He's going to
Okay.
eventually go down. Excellent juggling of the tower aggro there by the AoE side, though. They managed to pick it up.
Yeah, honestly, I was not anticipating. I was that Born Death for your top tower. Probably not worth. I mean, yes, you get the 150 gold shutdown, but and also this bot tower, but you're losing almost everywhere else on the map. Oh man, it feels so bad. I mean, it does. The Victor does pick up a kill, which is really nice. He's like the one person you want to be fed, but geez.
Fallen finding an excellent opportunity here, just flashing on forward, going to be picking up a nice kill onto Blue Shift as well. Blue Shift thought he was safe under the turret, but he has the Rift Herald coming in right at the right moment and is going to be able to pick up that kill as a result. Also popped the ultimate just to try to get Fallen Artemis off of him, but it just doesn't have enough time.
And at this point, guys, I want to sort of broach the elephant in the room right here. And at what point do we start reporting Sam Alcrum for being the only person for dying on his team and being the pretty much entirely the only griefer on the Omega Gaming Unleashed roster right here? I mean, he's only got a 3 KDA right now. The rest of the squad has perfect. So at some point, we're going to have some words, some internal conflicts coming on at the Omega Gaming Unleashed side, and maybe see if we can tighten that one up here, because Unleashed, right, they're looking very strong, very dominant in this game, number one. I think we're fairly safe to say that. With that 6,000 gold lead right here, they're definitely going to be looking to close out this game pretty quickly, and they've got all of the utility to do so as well. They've got 2 dragons already stacked up, they've secured both heralds, we've got Mountain Drake spawning once again in 35 seconds, and if Unleashed are able to pick up that one, then they're going to be able to get Soul Point as well. But AoE playing this top side and pretty much avoiding Omega as best they can, and really just trying to put Sam Alcrum down in the dirt.
Yeah, so Malcolm trying to avoid the ban hammer here, going to be trying to avoid getting 3v1 tower dope yet again, and just going to be backing away a little bit. Going to end up giving up that turret, so not going to be able to keep their side lane outer turrets alive, but they're willing to trade that for the advantage of taking almost the entire enemy team's jungle and now moving on to this Soul Point Dragon.
And I mean, it's a feels bad moment for AoE, but there's not a whole lot you can do if you're on the side of AoE, because if you even attempt to walk close to Omega at this point, they're going to rip you up as 5. And also, not to mention, if you, they are more than willing to just let their top tower go for the entire bot side jungle, in addition to that drag, which also happens to put them on Soul Point. So, oh yeah. Honestly, I don't see a way back into this for AoE. I want to stay optimistic, have a little bit of faith for my opponent, but I just don't see it.
And sometimes you just don't, and with the sub dashing in like this and Cyclone caught out, there's really no wonder why. He's just going to get taken out by, it's going to be those not the Howling Gales, the Winds of War that managed to take down Cyclone in the mid lane right there. And your win condition here, Kiko, the way that you wanted AoE to fight back into the game, gets taken out, and it's looking worse and worse by the second for AoE. Now, just constantly losing things across the map. They were able to pick up that top lane tier 1 in exchange for the Drake. So a little bit of gold between the teams does mean that they're going to have a little bit more utility and a little bit more access to those items. But just looking across, even just the levels here, if we don't even look at items, CS or anything like that, the levels across the board are pretty much in Omega Gaming Unleashed favor, right? We've got a level lead in the top side for Sam Alcrum, 2 level lead for Fallen Artemis in the jungle, Princeton in the mid lane, same situation there, and of course we have to take into account that the adjustment is not the one farming, it's the sub that's picking up all of the gold and all the experience in that case. So in terms of support v support and ADC versus ADC, there's still a level lead for Omega Gaming Unleashed down in that bot lane. So everything really going in their favor, and we haven't even got a Baron on the table for them to be taking yet, so they're playing it about as fast as they can. can with all the utility and all of the resources that they have available to them. But at the minute, just not quite been able to finish off this game, and only 20 minutes in, that's nothing to be shamed about.
Definitely. I mean, like
Maybe Princeton, maybe moving in for a move here onto Cyclone, but going to be met with a teleport and just going to back on away as soon as he sees that. Damien now forced to blow teleport for almost nothing, and now there's going to be a re-engage coming in from the side of Fallen Artemis. He's just going right here onto Cyclone. So Malcolm's going to actually end up picking that up with the call. The Forge God just stealing a kill from back in the river to try to boost that KDA. Once again, reports to Malcolm.
Oh man, like, yeah, that's just one of those kills where you take that kill and you just look the other way.
Gonna be a big engage here on a Fright Knight, and the sub just gonna end up picking up that kill for himself as well. Just cannot survive in the 1v4 there, caught out with his pants down a little bit, and now just going to be moving on to the Baron on the side of Omega Gaming. They are just snowballing away with this game, and any opportunity that AOE has to catch back up are quickly depleting.
And the Baron here not going to be outrageously fast right here. We're still missing those completed second items for the AD carries. Obviously no Rage Blade yet on Senna, and Fallen Artemis hasn't quite finished off that Essence Reaver with the 1300 gold detour into a QSS, but you can see that they're really not struggling with this one at all. A little bit more time with Sir Malcolm tanking. There's no way for AOE to make their way into this fight, and it shows right there. The fact that they get that for pretty much free accelerates them up to this 9,000 gold lead. They should be looking to make strides into the enemy structures and hopefully be able to at least take down an inhibitor with this Baron push.
I mean, I would say at this point, if I'm on the side of Omega, you guys are so far ahead to where you can group up as 5, have Ornn take point, and run AOE over. You have Senna who can heal up the Ornn, who who's sitting at least on 4k health. I mean, that boy is tanky beyond belief. And let's also not forget that you have the Karma Shield. You have Galio who can jump on you at any given moment if you're on any side of anyone on Omega. I don't see why they don't just line up and run them over at this point.
Well, there is that
and you got
Soul.
ornaments starting to come through here as well, so just even more just tankiness and gold lead coming through for the side of Omega Gaming here with the addition of those.
And of course, the Mountain Soul going to be spawning up here pretty soon. A nice objective for Unleashed to be taking, provided of course they can secure it nicely. We're expecting that they can, with the 2-level lead on Fallen Artemis and pretty much the willingness to concede objectives that AOE have given up so far. I'm definitely going to be interested to see if they're able to pick up this Mountain Dragon, or if this is going to be the fight AOE finally decide to take.
Yeah, and Omega do not want to wait around for AOE to go for a steal here. They're going to take the fight to them. They're going to push up into this jungle, and they're going to force the members of AOE to back away from them. The sub especially just walking out on his own all the way into the mid lane here to make sure Blue Shift has no path into the fight.
And at this point,
giving up everything right here for AOE. They're just giving up everything, and it's not doing well for them.
Yeah, I mean, for AOE, it's going to be it's practically game over for AOE. Like, you have a 10+ kill lead against you. You have a Mountain Soul against, I don't know, a Ornn, a Galio, and the 2 carries that you need to kill, which Mountain Soul makes that very tough to do, I hear. But even taking that out the equation, you already are so big. And that proves my point right there.
Yeah, Princeton just going 1v1,000,000 here as he just continues to regen himself up with the ulti tether, and he's just going to steal even more. Going to bind down the enemy AD carry, going to back away here. And now with only 2 members of AOE in the base, they're just going to be engaging here. They're going to be turning around to the bot lane with Fallen Artemis as well, just going through to execute the remaining members of AOE, and that's just going to be it. They're going to march on through this base, and they're going to be able to take down the Nexus turrets and likely the Nexus here with only 2 members of AOE remaining alive.
And I mean, honestly, at this point, it doesn't really matter if you have two members or the whole team on AOE. the game's practically over at this point. So GG's.
All right, that is going to do it for game one. A clean closeout by the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed, giving up just one kill throughout the entire game and only a couple of turrets, meanwhile taking up everything on the other side of the map for themselves and going to be closing that one out. Now,
Yeah, I mean, game number one, right? Probably not as close as anybody, or not as. It was a stomp. Let's be real, right here. You talked about the fact that they only gave up one kill, and we only to. This is ×9 Sim Sam that we've got right here. Hit that report button real quick, everybody. But you can see that even though he was the one that got picked off in the side lane, that Omega Gaming Unleashed weren't letting it be in vain, right? They were able to find things across the rest of the map. They were picking up turrets, picking up dragons, all of the time that Samalcom was getting abused. And they're going to be more than capable of succeeding in game number one and looking to translate that success into a second victory here in game number two just soon.
And
yeah, and
what's
with
really
that, we are going to take a quick break here just to get on into that next lobby. The players are going to want to get started right away, so we are going to be right back in just a couple of minutes. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to Game 2 of the XLNC Mid-League. We've got Omega Gaming Unleashed now on the blue side, taking on, once again, AOE Team One on the red side. Coming back with the TriCast, my name is Gordo, and I am joined by Kiko and Rudude tonight. And guys, we are going to see possibly Desena locked in here, first off, right again.
Oh yeah, and something else I could see is the first three bans quite literally the same. You ban the Seraphine on the side and the Kindred because Kindred things last game on the side of AOE, but then on Omega Gaming you ban the Bard, and that's interesting because both teams they don't want any part to do with that big guy. You don't want that big curvy Bard on the other side. I don't know why, but they don't want that heat.
I mean,
Yeah,
they
they are
heard
going to be banning
your.
out the Kindred this time, though, so going to be keeping Fallen Artemis away from his signature jungle pick, and we're going to have to see where he goes from here with the Leona Misfortune duo locked in here. I think it's a great opportunity for the side of Omega to steal away something like the Lilia.
They're going to be looking to maybe, like you say, pick up that Lilia and also try and match this bot lane duo once again. They've picked up the Senna and we expect it to be fasting, I assume, once again. You've talked, there you go, Gordo, your prophecy comes
Prophet.
true right here. Assuming it gets
He
locked
has
in, and
seen
it
the
does.
future.
There you go, the Lilia gets locked in, and now I expect Unleashed to be locking in their support. And hey, the Galio worked pretty decently in game number one. It depends what style of composition that Unleashed are going to be going for, because once again, they've got themselves a more teamfight oriented composition just with the Lilia and the potential for the big sleeps to come through. And a nice support down there could definitely aid them in their efforts.
Yeah, personal favorite would be the Son of Wukong bot lane, popularized by Mad Lions, but nah, they're just going to be locking in the Galio again, running it back.
And I mean, it makes perfect sense when you think about it. You got Leona and you got Misfortune, and where Misfortune, she's gonna poke you out because that's just what she do, and Leona is going to want to do Leona stuff, be tanky by pressing a single button and pressing E onto you, and locking you down. But Galio just says no. And also, it's very helpful that Senna is able to heal herself and Galio from all that poke. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this bot lane plays out. It's without a doubt going to come down to the Galio and the Leona in the bot lane.
Yeah. The Anivia ban here is interesting for me. There is some pretty decent Anivia nerfs on this patch. So might not want to be something that Princeton wants to bust out and likely first time here today, but gonna
Oh,
be
you
on the
don't know the
ban list
tech.
anyway.
Princeton,
What do you say,
Princeton.
Rudy?
You don't know the tech. Princeton in preseason was a big Anivia Victor player, literally playing pretty much those two champions exclusively in solo queue. So, we meme the Anivia pick from Marcus, and he's even busted it out once here, I believe. But hey, these control mages. This is a reformed Princeton that doesn't just play Aurelia.
Yeah, but that was busted in Anivia. This is nerfed in Anivia.
Oh, okay.
Is my
No,
concern.
but
But now the
we're
Victor's
talking
going to be
about
picked away,
Anivia.
and it looks like Princeton might be forced onto a comfort pick. God forbid.
Oh
Oh man.
no. Heaven
Oh
forbid then
geez.
that he takes this Lucian into the mid lane. It looks as though that's going to be what they're opting into. Gragas locked in for what appears to be the top lane here for Omega Gaming Unleashed, so Smalcom going to be taking that one up against the Malphite, and I really like that as an answer. Building
Now
up
it
some
could
AP.
also now it could also be Lilia top Gragas jungle because I mean
You're clued into some hidden tech, Kiko, that's all I'm going to say.
now here's the thing. Hear me out on this here. You got. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a Lucian mid. I'm close to 90% sure that's a Lucian mid. The one thing that Lucian is missing out on is, I don't know, maybe a little bit of early CC. And who on this team, minus Galio, could possibly, get a little bit of CC that Lucian needs?
Hey, I feel like you're heading toward this Gragas here.
Now we do see the Rek'Sai on the other side of the team, on the side of AOE, and that's actually going to feel really bad for either both Lilia and Gragas, because if Rek'Sai comes close to you, that's over. If you don't have any backup, you're dead.
What I will say is I like the cohesiveness here of the AOE team comp. They've got themselves 4 champions that pretty much all want to go in, right? Misfortune, maybe not so much a typical, quote, go-in champion, but has a lot of ability to aid in backline dives with the Make It Rain, with the bullet time as well. The sort of mismatch here feels like Victor, who's pretty good at being that mid-range combat mage, but for the rest of the squad, Leona, Malphite, Rek'Sai, they all want to go in, and they're all going to be able to do that fairly easily with one another. You know, the ease of execution on a Malphite, pretty simple and pretty easy to get going. The issue, once again, that I find here for AOE is going to be the potential disengage that Omega Gaming have got for themselves. They have a lot of safety in Senna Galio bot lane, which is going to give them some nice healing shielding combination. They've also got Gragas, who really interrupts engage, has that cask which can be just the most useful disengage tool pretty much ever provided to a kit, and especially with Kindred being taken off the mark, this was definitely the next best thing here for Unleashed. So they've sort of seen what AoE are going for. The Gragas as well, if it wasn't just good enough that he does great stuff in disengaging, is also an incredibly strong top laner right now. We've seen the priority across Proving Grounds, across a couple of major regions as well. Gragas top lane is really starting to show up in a lot of places.
Yeah, and I like the look from AoE here. When you found yourself behind and when you're losing a lot of games, I like just returning to the basics and going for the AoE wombo combo team comps, which is certainly what we have in front of us here with this Rek'Sai with the knockups and the Malphite to join you in the bounce house, plus the Leona ultimates and the Misfortune ultimates, all just going to be layered down on top of each other.
Now, it is going to be interesting to see how this mid lane, well, how far ahead Princeton's able to get on this solution here, because you have Rek'Sai, who's gonna try to rip you to shreds at least, but you also have Lucian, who can do insane amounts of damage to Victor, and Victor, I mean, the boy's not really good. My boy's gonna be focused on farming and his life. That's the only two things Victor can worry about. And God forbid Lucian comes out of lane 2-0 with any kind of CS lead against their comp. That plus Senna, forget about it. This is all they can really do at that point is perform their wombo combo. Which I'm not gonna lie, they got a pretty mean wombo combo on the side of AoE. You have Malphite, who can press R. You have Leona, who we all know how disgustingly broken Leona is. You have MF, who can auto Q and press R. Overall, they have the side of AoE. They have a very strong team comp. When it just comes to straight up team fighting. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Oh, for sure here. I mean, we've already highlighted the engage tools, of course, that you've just so brilliantly touched on from AOE, and the potential disengage from Omega Gaming Unleashed that they have in their arsenal. And something then that we maybe might want to focus a little bit further in on is going to be how this mid lane will interact with one another. We've got Lucian versus Victor here, and I'm feeling like the Victor, probably one of the better matchups to try and take up against Lucian. Of course, being ranged as well means that the Victor doesn't have to necessarily get in danger to try and farm his wave, and Lucian does have, of course, those really nice early game trading patterns, and with the shield that Victor has in his queue, might be able to mitigate a little bit of that poke, and we saw just leads across the board for Omega Gaming Unleashed in game number 1. It wasn't just one player stepping up, really outclassing. It was just a team-wide sweep here. So what we need from going into game number 2 from AOE is just a whole team-wide setup and just a step up as well from them to really try and get themselves into a good place to try and tie up this best of 2.
Yeah, and I am willing to chalk up some of that team-wide deficit on the side of AoE down to the fact that they lost a fight 4-0 at like 6 minutes into the game. So if they could tighten that up and avoid getting into a disastrous situation like that very early, where you end up giving the Kindred 4 marks before 10 minutes, which now there's not even a Kindred in the game, so pretty easy to avoid that outcome. Definitely going to be a better opportunity for AoE to maybe make a comeback in this series.
And of course, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to once again cut it to our short intermission, make sure that we're all synced up, and bring game number 2 for you guys here. The final game that we're going to have on the Omega Gaming or the Omega Gaming Esports channel, so please stick around, check it out. But then after this game, we are going to be on the XLNC broadcast, so be sure to check that one out too. For now, though, we are, like I say, going to cut it to that quick break, and we'll be right back on the other side.
Welcome back, everybody, to our second and final game of the stream tonight in the XLNC Mid-League. We've got Omega Gaming Unleashed on the blue side and AOE Team One on the red side. My name is Gordo, and I am joined once again by Rudude and Kiko. And Kiku, what are you expecting this game?
Honestly, I don't know what to expect. I will say this. Princeton is without a doubt going to dominate the hell out of this Victor. I have a feeling that's going to happen. Top lane, we shouldn't expect a whole lot, assuming that Simulacrum doesn't smack Malphite too hard. This bot lane's going to be the most interesting place because for the side of AoE, that's the one spot where it's make or break. Because if you come out of bot lane equal or behind, you don't really have much of anywhere else to push that advantage. Because I mean, you got your Victor into a Lucian, and that's probably not going to go that well. And you have your Gragas into a Malphite, which probably isn't going to go that well either.
Or do you?
Now, I will say, the fact that Gragas took TP, Gragas with TP, pretty typical for the Gragas top side, but whether or not Gragas uses that TP to make a play bot side is going to, and so long as he uses it at the perfect time, if he makes a good play bot side, that is definitely, it's not going to be a death sentence, but it's going to be more so an oof sentence for the side of AoE. So I would say be careful mid, and we have to be a little bit more careful on what happens top side, and more so how Simulacrum decides to use his TP, especially early on.
Yeah, and it looks like it might be time to reorganize the scoreboard a little bit here, as it does look like Damien and Cyclone are going to be lane swapping here, trying to get themselves slightly more favorable matchups, believing, you know what, the Malphite's going to have a tough time in either matchup, but maybe we can get a little bit more bullying power if we move the Victor up to the top lane to face off against the Gragas. But now, Fright Knight going in aggressively on the bot lane here. He's got Blue Shift coming up for backup, going to be coming right on in here, going to flash on after the sub and try to pick him up for first blood. He punches back in, but it's not going to be enough, as Riley ends up picking up the first blood there on the side of AoE.
And I mean, that's exactly, if you're AoE, that's exactly what needs to happen. If get your bot lane rolling, get some kills going for this MF, because if she ain't getting paid, then nobody's getting sprayed. We're leaving
We'll leave it at that one right there, huh?
Want to do, you know?
Oh, for sure, and that's going to be really detrimental here. Of course, we got to remember that Galio is the one that's farming in this bot lane for Omega Gaming Unleashed. They are once again opting into this fasting strategy, and not being able to pick up those few last hits definitely going to set the Galio a little bit further behind. The first blood going onto Riley, always going to be exactly where AOE are wanting it. And it's also worth noting that whilst we did see that play down in the bot side, Princeton was able to force the flash out of Malphite. Damien Durst there, not going to be in the best particular spot, but now on this top lane, Cyclone stepping up, no ward. Fallen Artemis is already here.
Yeah, Fallen Artemis coming on in here, but actually going to end up getting stunned on the side of the gravity well. Unfortunate for him there, and it's going to put that gank to rest right away. Also saw Sumalcrum went for a body slam earlier, but ended up hitting a minion that was just a little bit closer than he expected. All around gank, not going to work out the way Omega Gaming wanted. That's going to result in Cyclone being able to just keep farming on up here. And here comes Blue Shift to back him up and make sure that he can get this wave crash into turret.
Yeah, so Malcolm really doing his best to try and hold this freeze outside the turret, and looks like he's going to be able to get away with it once again right here. So Blue Shift's time spent up on this top side, unfortunately not going to amount to the goal that he was looking for. And a little bit inefficient pathing from the Rek'Sai as well, going to base when you have your golems up near something that you really want to be doing as a jungler, especially if you can farm those whilst they're nice and close. Should be looking for that one, but so Malcolm once again going to just fail that body slam. Mis-executing once again with those close ranged minions being the ones that are putting him in a little bit of danger.
Yeah. Botching the body slams a little bit, but keeping the wave just where he wants it is going to allow Sumalcrum to build up a pretty nice CS lead for himself up here.
Only the one wave so far, of course, but in an early game situation, that is more so than you would be expecting in the ranged versus melee matchup that Cyclone has got for himself. And yes, maybe the little bit of pressure that Fallen Artemis was able to provide might be owing to the CS lead that we're seeing, but now Blue Shift already with the rest of his team heading down toward this dragon, and Ocean Drake going to be picked up right here. Doesn't look like there's any contest from Omega Gaming Unleashed right now, and granted Blue Shift might be level 4, but he's got more dragons than Fallen.
Yeah, certainly has been picking that up for himself there. The advantage of having one of those more powerful early game junglers is it does enable you to get that dragon stack rolling early on, and with the first blood in his pocket and the first blood given over to Riley, that's going to give them that bot lane strength that they want to be able to take those dragons early and often.
And also, not to mention, of all the dragons that you can possibly get for the side of AoE, the Ocean is going to feel really good for this Malphite.
Going for it all in here, though. He's going to fire down the Ignite, he's going to take in the Flash, and he's going to pick up Damien Hirst in the 1v1 there. Just an excellent solo kill there for that Lucian, and you called it early on, Kiko. It looks like it's going to be some domination on the side of Princeton in this game.
Yeah, that was just a Princeton diff right there. I don't know what else to say about that.
I mean, he's capitalizing on his flash that he burned early on in the laning phase and making sure that that flash isn't going unpunished. And yes, he does it all on his own, but hey, if you're able to make those plays, then you're definitely going to be able to get yourself these advantages. And if we just take a quick look not only at the gold lead in the mid lane, but just look at the CS differential as well. You know, the gold in terms of the kill only going to contribute for 300 of that. More of the gold lead for Princeton in the mid lane right now is coming from that outweighing of the CS, almost doubling the Malphite CS total. Only 7 minutes into the game is definitely a admirable feat.
Yeah, Damien just desperately trying to scrape together whatever pocket change he can get to pick up a Seeker's Arm Guard here, but that's also more expensive this patch, so he can't even get that in his inventory as of yet, and is just going to be coming back to lane with an Amp Tome and a Cloth Armor.
Yeah, not quite
and also not to mention the fact that, well, it definitely hurts that he had to rush Malphite's going to be going AP most likely instead of full tank, but it's that without a doubt is going to exacerbate the difference mid lane instead of just going full tank against the Lucian, because when you're this far behind against the Lucian, and you do have the kind of CC that Malphite provides, given it's not a Leona type of CC, but still you have a little bit of CC to help your jungler help you out. It's gonna feel pretty bad for the for Damien.
Definitely not going to be easy for him to at least make the most of this game right now, and you can see that AOE, they spend their time pushing out bot lane and also making their way up to the top side right there. You see the lane swap has come out, and they've managed to put the Herald, or take the Herald from the top side with that pressure of the duo lane, and are going to be able to maybe put it in the top lane, maybe try and break open a turret quickly here. I really like the macro game that they've gone for, but Cyclone down on the bot side going to be in danger.
Yeah, the side of Omega going to be going for a big dive here, but they got to juggle the aggro perfectly, and they are going to be able to do it. Fallen Artemis going to take one shot on the way out, just enough shots taken by the sub to make sure that his carries were staying alive, and they're going to end up picking up an easy kill there as a result on the Cyclone. Going to set that Victor behind early. Meanwhile, there is going to be a counter dive coming in on Smalkram. Let's see if he's able to survive here. He still has access to the flash, has already used the ultimate. He's staying alive at barely any HP, going to find himself executed down. Riley, though, going to get picked up by the turret. That is exactly what you don't want to happen on the side of AoE, because a 1-for-1 trade for Smalkram, they're going to feel real good.
Yeah, and if they are able to pick up this turret, then they're going to be in a good position. But, yo, good dive at least. A good effort, and they do get the turret.
And also, I would say that if there was one dive you did not want to mess up on the side of AoE, it was that dive top side. Because, yes, you do get the turret top side, and yes, Victor is able to gain a slight gold lead, but when you take into consideration that Gragas is going to have a kill difference on Victor, and also that going to most likely be farming topside for a fair bit of the game, I don't know how Omega's going to play it out, most likely in a team comp kind of strategy, especially with Gragas. One-on-one, Gragas is going to have the advantage over Victor if Gragas plays this right.
And we've seen all of these plays come through right here for AoE, and they've made all of these moves around the map and trying to pick up these objectives, pick up the turrets, pick up the kills where they can. All for that, they've got themselves what looks to be the first Herald and now this second Dragon coming through. But Unleashed, they're going for a different strategy right here. They're just trying to pick up all of the farm, all of the kills on minions that they can get, and just look to out-farm their opponents, have a greater gold lead, and at the time when they need to start fighting for those dragons, fighting for those objectives, they're going to be stronger in the team fights. Looking at the gold lead right now, it is in Unleashed's favour, and they are going to be about 1,500 gold to the good when all of these minions are picked up. You know, this different styles of approach coming through from AoE to Unleashed. Definitely interesting to see how it plays out here, because it's going to be a game of who's picking up these objectives versus who's picking up these neutral minions.
Yeah, it is going to be there, and, you know, it's pretty standard. You'd expect Omega to donate these first two here, but they are going to be going in onto Cyclone here, and he's just going to get melted through right away. He doesn't have access to the flash, and so he's got no way to save himself. But now counter-engage in the bot lane, and a gank coming on through here from Blue Shift, going to guarantee another kill down onto the sub, and it's going to be a third kill picked up for Riley. They're going to put all of their eggs in the Riley basket this game, and trust that this Misfortune damage is going to be able to carry them through these fights with the abundance of CC they've drafted for themselves.
And I mean, at this point, that's kind of what you have to do, because, I mean, Victor's not doing too hot right now. My boy's 0-2 with 78 CS. It's not looking too good for my boy Victor. But if you can, if you're hold up.
Attempted flash engage from the side of Knight, but he's going to end up just getting a Galio ultimate right on top of him. Blue Shift going to be able to pick up adjustment on the backside, and now the sub finds himself in a 1v3. He's just going to execute down the Leona, though, kill him for himself, and now back up under turret. He's got a teleport coming in from Smalkram to back him up, and a great flash body slam from Smalkram is going to possibly allow him to pick up another kill here. He comes with this explosive cast to try to pick up onto Riley, goes for the shutdown, and is going to be able to do so. And now it's just Blue Shift left in a 1v2, but he's just getting punched and body slammed all over the place, and he's going to get picked up by the sub as well. A 3-for-1 fight in the favor of Omega in the bot lane.
Yeah, and that's definitely a game changer right there. Because
no, and now just getting put right to sleep as Cyclone is going to get ulted down by the Senna and picked up across the map.
Yeah, I mean, that was the one thing you cannot afford to do if you're on the side of AOE, because that you like you said earlier, Gordo, you're putting all your eggs into one basket with this with getting MF fed, and when MF is going to feed a kill to Galio. Well, was it Galio or Simulacrum? Galio or
Galio got it.
yeah. But either way, you get one of the two tanks fed. You got Senna, who, given she's not gonna do too much damage when compared to MF, but she's going to do a fair bit of damage. That, when combined with the fact that you have a 2-0 Lucian with a very big CS lead mid lane, and that's really all you need for the side of Omega. It's not game over quite yet for AOE, but they gotta get at rolling even harder with this MF, and they gotta get rolling soon. Otherwise, it's gonna be a pretty dark game pretty quickly.
Yeah, and during all of that, Fright Knight just ends up getting picked off in the river, finds himself in a 1v4 against the members of Omega collapsing down on him, and he has nowhere to go and finds himself picked up. Now, just going to be Omega taking control over this top side, making sure that they have vision over this second Rift Herald, and picking up the top turret as well.
And now we start to see the effects of Unleashed, sort of slower paced early game, but the way that they were playing it out to give themselves more gold and more leeway to take fights later on, really starting to pay off. They have this 9-4 kill lead. They've got themselves a 5,000 gold lead already somehow from just a couple of kills and well-played CS picking up, well, just well-played CSing, I suppose. And now we've got Infernal Dragon spawning in about 30 to 40 seconds here, and I expect this to be the point where Unleashed start saying, hey, we're strong, we can fight you, and we're not going to give you this Drake for free.
Now, I will also say that if there is one team comp that can match how fed Omega is.
Oh, if you say that, it's like Damien's going to be going in for a big engage here, comes across Misfortune ultimate, but Princeton now just going to be moving on across and executing down Blue Shift right away. They botched the engage, they weren't able to get enough targets down, and now AoE is just going to get executed down by the members of Omega. They pick up 4 kills immediately, and now the Malphite is left all alone. Damien just has to retreat back to his base and gather up his losses.
Yeah, that was Caster's curse right there. I said, what I was trying to say was, if there was one comp that can attempt to stop what Omega was just did, it's the comp of AoE. And I was hoping that they'd prove me wrong, but they proved me right.
And they do get themselves the Infernal Dragon off the back of it as well, Unleashed, with some beautiful team fighting. That 5,000 gold lead really starting to pay its dues right there, and accelerating in an instant. It feels like up to 8,000 gold is absolutely incredible just off of a single team fight. They're able to pick themselves up a bot lane tier 1, a Drake, so many kills and so much gold off of those kills as well, that now the game's starting to begin to snowball. It feels like going to be really difficult for AoE, as they might be looking for a play onto Simulacrum, who is out of mana, but Rek'Sai and Malphite, not your two highest burst champions, but Prowler's Claw could get Blue Shift in range.
Yeah, not too many tank stats built up on Simulacrum yet, given that he did go in for the movement speed tank item, but now going to just be ending up taken out. Tries to escape with some fancy flashes and fancy body slams, but not going to be enough. The tank stats from that Turbo Chem tank just not enough against this AP Malphite plus Rek'Sai combo.
I mean, like you guys said, Simulacrum's starting to get a little tanky, but he doesn't have that many tank stats yet. So thus, when you have that in combination with Prowler's Claw Rek'Sai and a knockup from Malphite and another knockup from Rek'Sai, it just feels really bad for Simulacrum. But meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Omega's just having their way with AoE. Whatever they want, they get.
And I'm interested by Simulacrum's build path right here. Looks like he's going into the Cosmic Drive second, trying to do his best Udyr cosplay right now. But that should be definitely interesting to see how this one plays out. Princeton, though,
Ooh, gonna find himself just face checking into a bush that has Cyclone in it, so Damien's just gonna knock right up onto him and going to have his Victor there to dish out the damage. So a good pickup for the side of AoE, a big shutdown going on over into the pocket of that Victor, and that is going to be what they want if they want to get back into this game.
I mean, you said it, my guy. The Lucian is without a doubt the biggest, by far the biggest carry for Omega, and casually giving a 650 gold shutdown to a Victor of all people is going to feel really, really bad. Now, given it's not going to absolutely transform this game, because you still, if you're on the side of AoE, you have to deal with a 6k gold deficit. But if you're on the side of Omega, you just gave AoE the one thing that they could ask for to get back into this, and that's a little bit more damage on this Victor.
that's the like you say here, Kiko. It's not going to turn the game back around, but that is the step to take in the right direction right here. Another couple of plays like that, they could well be right back in it, and you can see Damien here looking for an off angle here. Could be going for an ulti attempt, but going to get spotted out surely by
haven't
Gragas.
yet though. It just came off cooldown. Now he can probably look for the engage if he wants it. But the side of Omega have backed on away. It's almost like they know that he's waiting around the corner, but certainly not the case there. Just slightly mistimed on the opportunity there. Really wish that they had, you know, just a little bit more ability haste. Make sure Damien could have gotten that engage off. But now they're going to be moving S5 over to the Baron.
They could be looking for this one pretty quickly, but they don't have any kills, they don't have any advantages across the map to really start making their plays happen, and you can see Unleashed not really willing to give this one up for free. Going to be using this Dark Mist.
No, they're gonna they're about to bait a fight. Hold up. Oh,
All right, just going to be moving on up. So Malcolm's just face tanking up all the damage here. Does have a little bit of tankiness with that Drunken Rage and along with his Turbo Chem tank. Just going to be backing away here, looking to regen right back on up. And now here comes the sub, looking for a potential flank.
We'll have to wait and see if they're able to find it right here. We're just sort of waiting with anticipation as these two teams...
Oh, the sub gets the blue buff. Are you kidding me?
This could be
Somehow
the
the
ulti.
Winds of War ends up picking it up, and now that's going to be a two-man lullaby if the Lilia wants it. But Fallen Artemis not going to take it here. Just willing to stand back and forth here and exchange some poke. They can slap them around their wallets if they want to, and just get superior poke damage out with their team comp.
Okay, now the important thing right here is that Princeton is pushing mid lane already. AoE are being forced into a decision that they need to make, and Fright Knight looking like he's going to be the one to take the lead in the engage.
Yeah, just going to be landing that Eclipse down onto Smelkrum, but misses the follow-up Zenith Blade. Doesn't quite matter, though, as it's just going to get engaged on. And now here comes the hero's entrance from the Galio. He's going to be looking for a big tank. And here's a three-man sweep from the side of Fallen Artemis. The sub going to go on a rampage here as he picks up the opposing jungler. And Princeton has arrived from the mid lane to go into the fight. Smelkrum is getting chunked down pretty low, but he's going to be healed up by his Senna. And not enough going down. And now Riley finds himself in a 1v2, and he's going to be picked up easily. Princeton going for the triple here, and he's going to find it onto the side of the AoE Damien. And now just going to be an easy move here onto the Baron for the side of Omega. They get a 5-for-0 ace.
And also, not to mention, they get this Baron, they get the ace, and they're going to get, they're most likely going to get this dragon here, as they're going to be the first team to show up to it. But if you're AoE, oh man, it's just a feels bad moment for AoE, because you need to start making plays to get back into this game, and given I have respect for that they did try to make a play that game, but what really messed with them that play was Leona hit the ultimate, but she wasn't able to hit her E. And given on a very tanky Simulacrum, probably won't mean much, but oh man, it's just a feels bad moment, because ooh.
Oh, he's good.
Because
right.
Now, yeah, because now you have MF, who not too long ago was 3-1, who's now 3-4, and given it looks like AOE wants to be the aggressors here, but if you're AOE, when you have a very fed team, you gotta start making some plays, and you gotta start making some plays now, as shown.
Oh, Blue Shift going right in here onto Adjustment, going to dodge away from some damage with his ultimate and end up picking up a kill. A 1-for-1 there has got to be considered a victory, but now Fright Knight has got to find a way out here, not to get put to sleep by the Lilting Lullaby, and now it's going to likely be a two-man sleep coming on through along with the hero's entrance. They do get put to sleep, but it's just going to be a disengage from the side of Omega. They don't want this fight anymore, and they're going to back on away. And there was a great opportunity taken by AOE there, as they did have teleport advantage and have had it for a lot of the last few minutes. They try to make a play with Cyclone there and don't quite find it.
You can see that the TP coming through from Victor was really the lead cause for why they didn't go all the way in on that play. A two-man sleep was a great opening from Fallen Artemis, but TP from Cyclone meant that they didn't want to go any further. They didn't want to stat check into the numbers disadvantage. On the bottom side of the map, though, Malcolm is able to convert into a turret down on the bot lane or down on the bot side, so you know, not all for nothing. They do lose out on Adjustment on the center, but with Princeton still alive, they were able to keep the pressure up, and you can see that he's still applying it on the top side of the map as well.
Yeah, AOE just finding themselves 1-3-1 out of the game here a little bit. They are not able to just match in these side lanes anymore just because of the massive lead that's been picked up by the side of Omega. And Omega are just willing to keep on pressuring it. They're willing to dip in and out of engages and just rely on their superior macro play to close out this game.
And I mean, when you casually have a 10k gold lead in 25 minutes, that's really the best way to win a game, is to just walk in front of a team and straight up say we're better than you. That's just very Chad on the side of Omega right there.
Yeah, that is going to be the Cosmic Drive completed for Savalkrib. You called it there, Rudude, as he's just going for the Ujir build here on this Gragas.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be getting that ton of movement speed coming through then from just being in combat here. In combination with the Turbo Chem Tank, he's going to be able to not only find these engages if they so choose to, but also keep himself nice and stuck onto this Misfortune, who, even with a Strut passive, is going to struggle to keep the distance between Gragas and herself, because she's got the Gale Force, hasn't quite got the Flash, but Gragas' cooldowns are going to be very quick with all of the ability haste that Cosmic Drive provides, and also just the movement speed that you get from the item as well, always going to help out.
Yeah, of all the games for... Oh, and a great flash disengage from Adjustment there to dodge away from the Malphite ultimate. And now Damien's just going to get hunted down by Princeton here. This entire fight is going to be lost right up off that. It's Savalkrib coming in over the wall, gets a huge flank onto three members, gets a huge cask onto them as well, and they're just going to be cleaning up this fight. The culling is coming across the team, going to be picking up a kill on a Fright Knight, and Riley and Cyclone are just left to run back to their base.
Now, see, one thing that I don't think we talked that we didn't talk much about during that fight was how clutch Savalkrib came in, because he was able to disrupt MF. Oh man, like there was so many things that Omega did right and so many things that AOE did wrong that fight. That, man, like I don't see how. I'm gonna be very surprised if Omega don't just end the game within the next 5 minutes.
It will definitely be a challenge for AOE to keep themselves in this game. They're not going to be down a soul yet. Looks like Unleashed are going to be looking toward this next dragon, and that will put them towards Soul Point, provided, of course, they can get it. AOE are walking through their bot side jungle with purpose and seemingly with force, but their ultimates not all available yet. Cyclone and Riley still waiting on those pivotal teamfight ultis, and Fallen might be the one in danger.
Oh, there we go. Just going to go right in onto the same target. They know Adjustment doesn't have Flash this time, and he's going to get taken down right away. But Riley's been taken down on the other side, and that's a huge four-man Lilting Lullaby coming in from the side of Fallen Artemis, although he has already fallen down, and if they're able to move out of Princeton here, that could be it, but no, they're just getting melted on through by the sub and Savalkrib. They've got enough damage between them. They've got the Cosmic Drive to keep chasing. Oh, and Fright Knight's just going to be left alive for the fun of it. They're going to leave it up to the sub to chase this man down, and meanwhile, the rest of Omega just going to move on and take the dragon. Let's see. The sub's just going to decide to let him go.
He doesn't know Pepe Laugh, and Leona's going to get away, but it's probably going to be the game here for Omega Gaming Unleashed.
Yeah, gonna be a pretty easy closeout here. Fright Knight's still forced to just be running away because he knows he's being hunted down by this Galio. It's gonna be Riley coming on back up here. Has got to make some kind of miracle save here if they want the game to not end. But actually, Princeton gonna be a little bit intimidated off. Gonna run on away because he knows Cyclone is here. He knows Blue Shift and Damien are right behind, and it looks like we might get one more fight before this game is over.
And that's good. Like it's man, like in that last fight, we saw Princeton absolutely shred through the Malphite. And given, I understand Malphite, you're building AP, but and you do have that Caesars, but still, you most likely have a Malphite who has a level 5 W right about now, and has some armor stacked onto him. But a 12-1 Lucian who has more than double your CS is going to rip you to shreds, and that's exactly what we saw in that last team fight. So I would say if AOE do nothing else in this next team fight, they have to take out Princeton. If they do not take out Princeton, it is a guaranteed loss in that team fight.
Blue Ship finding himself caught out a little bit away from his team, and he's just going to get taken down by the sub there. The sub going for 7 kills here on this feasting Galio in the bot lane, and he is feeling pretty good about that. He's picked up 3 AP items for himself. This is a level of involvement that the sub rarely gets to experience in the damage market.
It's like the Baron here going to be started up for Unleashed and taken out pretty quickly afterwards as well. Not really too much to be said about that Baron fight. Obviously losing the jungler makes it pretty easy for Unleashed to move their way in and pick up that big purple worm. And if we take a quick soul check here, we've got adjustment. He's reached that 100. Now going to be firing at 800 and 725 range with every single auto attack. Absolutely monstrously far away. It's going to be pretty difficult for anybody to try and close the gap on him, and even Malphite might struggle to find it.
Yeah, he is going for that new Senna tech with the Kraken Slayer into Goonsu's build. That's really kind of eclipsed Eclipse, no pun intended, as the go-to Senna build these days. Just focusing in on being able to abuse the crit chance that you get inherently. And now here comes the engage from Damien. He's going to be going for that fight. So Malcolm just throws the explosive cast to the side. He doesn't even need it for this fight, as they're just going to be going on for the rest of the engage. Now we're going to be Princeton 1v4 on the backside, and actually going to end up being taken down here. Maybe a little bit of an opportunity here for AOE. The sub just running on through with the Winds of War, lands a great one onto 2 targets and is just going to melt through them so easily with the help of adjustment. They got Princeton, as you said, Kiko, but Princeton was the only thing they got, and they're going to lose the game for it. It looks like Omega Gaming going to take this series 2-0.
And I mean, I do have to give some kudos on the side of AOE. You did what you could there. You took out the biggest threat, but there comes a point where you're just so far behind as a team where it doesn't. Okay, you take out Princeton, you take out at least half of Omega's damage, but don't forget you got an 8-2 Galio who's building straight AP. You have a 4-3 Senna who's has Kraken Slayer and Rage Blade, and you also, to top it all off, have a Lilia. So even taking the absolute beast that was Princeton that game out of the picture, Omega was still a lot bigger than all of AOE combined, and that just says something about the dominance of the team we call Omega Gaming Unleashed.
Exactly for why right there. They get themselves a quick 2-0 right here to start off their night. Of course, they're going to have a second best of 2 that will be shown over on the XLNC channel, and they'll be looking to continue their successes over there as well.
Yeah, certainly going to. So be sure to stay tuned on that stream. We'll be hosting on into that very shortly. In the meantime, though, thank you everybody for tuning on in tonight. That is all we have got on the Omega mainstream tonight. But we will be back next week for more action in this same XLNC mid-league. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good night.